What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Absolute Strength Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hunt, back with a new episode, and today we have Martha Salaya on the podcast. She is a two-time, I believe, national champion, and she has a really unique powerlifting story. I mean, we dig into it. I mean, she gives a very detailed timeline of how she got into powerlifting, and she's 19 years old. She got into powerlifting, I think she said 13. At 13, she's from Texas, so she competed in powerlifting all throughout high school. Geared powerlifting, mind you, which is kind of another aspect to the story that's interesting. And then after high school, ventured over into raw powerlifting, and that's where she is now. So this is a really cool story, and I want to make it a point to get more females on the podcast and more female powerlifters on the podcast, because that aspect of the sport is growing so much. I mean, when you go to most powerlifting meets, it's at least 50-50. Males and females. I mean, at the minimum. So, I've been to meets where there's more females competing than even the guys. So, I mean, I know I've said that a lot over the last probably year, just because I'm like, man, I feel like I don't have as many female guests on the podcast, and I want to change that. And today's a good start. So I think you're going to really enjoy this podcast. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Before we get to Martha, a couple things. One, if you are interested in checking out a new pre-workout, the pre-workout I use and recommend is PR Breaker Materia, prbreaker.com. The discount code HUNT10 will save you some money and also help support the Absolute Strength Podcast. All studied, dosed ingredients with the amount of ingredient that's actually studied dosed, which is a key component. I know I've talked about that in the past, but just because a supplement or a pre-workout product says citrulline malate on the label, on the front of the label, or beta-alanine or creatine or whatever, doesn't mean there's actually enough in the product that's going to do what it says it's going to do. So it's just something to be mindful of. If the pre-workout you're taking has a proprietary blend and it doesn't actually say how much of each ingredient is in it, that's a red flag. If your pre-workout doesn't taste very good, why are you wasting your time? It's 2018. Supplement companies can't make pre-workouts taste good? Come on now. prbreaker.com. Check out Materia. There's 3 great flavors: Blue Raz, Cotton Candy, and then the new caffeine-free Orange Creamsicle. Now, I've pretty much made this famous, I guess you could say, but when you do 1 scoop of Blue Raz, 1 scoop of the caffeine-free Orange Creamsicle, which the caffeine-free is the same exact formula, it just doesn't have any caffeine. The regular formula for the Blue Raz and Cotton Candy is 300 milligrams per serving. So each scoop, or there's 2 scoops per serving, so each scoop is 150 milligrams. So if you do 1 scoop of Blue Raz, so 150 milligrams caffeine, combined with 1 scoop of Orange Creamsicle, mix them together, it's dubbed sour gummy worm. That's the flavor that I came up with. It's not very sour, but it does taste like sour gummy worms to me. And the reason I say sour gummy worms is, the orange and blue, like the best one. Everyone knows when you get a bag of sour gummy worms, the orange and blue one's the best. Well, some people would argue that the red and blue one's good, because that is pretty good too. But the orange and blue one's great. That's what this tastes like. The Orange Creamsicle combined with Blue Raz, 1 scoop of each. That's what this tastes like. The orange and blue sour gummy worm. Like I said, get a discount, save some money, help support the Absolute Strength Podcast, get stocked up, prbreaker.com. The link is in the show notes. Also, because I love you guys, I love the podcast fam, if you are looking for a new training program to follow, I recently released Absolute Strength version 2.0 Meet Prep Edition. It is a 12-week meet prep program, and even if you don't want to compete, but you want to get as strong as possible and peak for one specific day to display that strength, that's the program for you. And, I mean, everyone loved the original Absolute Strength. I mean, it was super popular. I released it in 2016. A lot of people got amazing results on that. Well, if you bought that, you got version 2.0 Meet Prep Edition for free. Like 3 years later, I just gave that to you for free. So, anybody who buys Absolute Strength, the original, the OG bundle, you get the version 2.0 for free forever. So, if you've been on the fence, you're like, oh man, Kyle's always talking about Absolute Strength. That is his book, Absolute Strength. He's always promoting it. If you were on the fence, like, I don't know if it's worth it. Well, guess what? You get 2 books now. You get the original and you get version 2.0. So, I mean, Come on. I just want to provide as much value to you guys who listen to this podcast as possible. And because of that, the discount code, just podcast, when you go to buy the Absolute Strength or Absolute Strength version 2.0 or either of my bench books, enter the discount code podcast. It'll save you some money too. All right, last but not least, coaching. If you want to work with me one-on-one, if you're interested in getting a coach and hiring a coach, hit me up. The link to more information about my coaching services is in the show notes, or if you just want to send me an email, kylehuntfitness@gmail.com. We can start the conversation, talk about your goals, talk about where you are, and how we can take you to the next level. One thing about this podcast that I think is an important thing to notice is when I'm talking to all these elite powerlifters and really elite athletes, what is one thing that they almost always have in common? They talk about their coaches. They talk about having a coach and the benefits of having a coach. Pretty much everybody at the top level at powerlifting, where the sport is today, has a coach. So think of it this way. If all the top athletes in the sport have coaches, they have powerlifting coaches. All the best bodybuilders, all the best physique athletes, they have coaches. Why is that? Why is that? There's a reason. Because having a coach holds you accountable, makes you more effective, and mentally allows you to just trust your coach and not overthink the process. I talk about it a lot, but when you have somebody who's not emotionally involved, like actually involved, like doing the work in the gym, doing the work on the nutrition program, when it's yourself, when you control your own diet, your own training, it's easy to overthink it. It's easy to start making unnecessary adjustments. As a coach, you can look at it objectively. I mean, I do it to myself. I mean, I've talked about it before, but I do it to myself. When I'm designing my own training, my own nutrition, I get in my own head. It's so much easier for me as a coach to make adjustments. I see things so much clearer with clients than I ever do for myself. And I'm sure you guys feel the same way. So like I said, if you're interested in some coaching, the information is in the show notes. Click the link or just send me an email, kylehuntfitness@gmail.com, and we can get the conversation started. All right, let's get to this podcast. I think you're going to enjoy it. Let's get talking to Martha.
Girls who message me, and not just girls, like even some guys, lifters from high school, and they ask, how do I compete at the national level? Like how do I get there? And I feel like I get those messages a lot, that I feel like I need to make like a video, like a guidance to like this is how, like, it's so simple, but to them it's like they just need like a guidance, like, okay, this is what you do, and they'll do it. Mm-hmm. And there's not really like that out there. And I feel like the amount of messages I've sent to girls, okay, well, and federations too, they don't know about federations. They just know it's this powerlifting thing. But there's many federations, and obviously I always guide them to USAPL. And I'm always like, well, it's super easy. Like, just look up a local meet, get a membership for USAPL, hit the qualifying totals, and you're set. You're set for nationals. Like, that's what it is. And they're like, oh, and they're surprised. I was like, oh, that's like a lot easier than I like. And they're like, that's it? I'm like, that's it? Like, that's how you get involved into USAPL and stuff like that. And I feel like a lot of high school lifters are kind of like, they don't know. Like, it's huge in Texas, but also, like, there's not enough guidance for them to be like, oh, it's so easy to lift outside of high school. Like, this is what you do. And I feel like unless you lift for a college, they'll give you the guidance because you're lifting for a college. But other than that, I feel like there's not really. And I was very lucky that Jim reached out to me, and he was like, this is what you do. Because I feel like if you wouldn't have, I probably wouldn't have been in USAPL right now, or I would have, but very late. Like, I just barely starting now, because it's something that I feel like it's not really out there. And there's a lot of stuff on social media, but nobody really tells you, like, well, this is how you get into USAPL. And I feel like a lot of girls and just people in general ask me, and I'm always super happy to help. Like, yeah, it's super easy. This is what you do. This is how you get. It's not that hard. It's literally easy. Like, and I feel like there need to be a better like guidance as far as to joining. And I feel like it's growing. I feel like it's getting better with a lot of people out there, influencers, and I feel like people start seeing it. Oh, okay, well, USAPL and Ron Nationals was huge, and just like they kind of start seeing it via social media, and they're like, okay, well maybe I can. And they click the link USAPL, and it tells them they're like local meets, and like they kind of start doing it themselves. But I feel like guidance would also help a lot of these like teenagers, because you know they're teens. I'm a teen still, so I feel like it would help.
Yeah, that's a good place to start right there. You're 19, right?
Yes, I'm 19.
19. When did you first get into lifting? Just lifting in general, like working out?
Lifting in general. Okay, so I got into lifting at the age of 14. I was 14, and but prior to that, I had already been inside the gym since I was 12. So I got into the gym the very first time because I used to do boxing. So my parents kind of like, hey, you want to try out boxing? And I was never the type to be like, no, I'm very competitive, and I'm very like, okay, let's do it. Mm-hmm. So I did it, and I ended up loving boxing. Like I used to train at the gym, and it was funny. It was funny because my dad used to take me, and I remember it was this hardcore gym, and there was like metal music playing in the background, like all these guys lifting this heavy weight. And to get to the boxing area, I had to walk across the entire gym. So I had to walk through all of that. And my dad would usually like drop me off and be like, okay, walk inside, and I'm gonna go park, and you go inside. I'm like, Dad, no, I'm scared. Like I'm scared. I was so intimidated. I was like a 12-year-old, and I was like, no, like I'd just rather wait for you. So it was so funny because I used to be intimidated by like people who were playing like heavy metal music. It was like a hardcore gym, and I was always just like very intimidated by it. And I remember thinking like, why would you lift weights and like just like so aggressively and like heavy metal music? Like, yeah. I'm like, why would you do that? And it's funny because that's me now. Like I do that now, but that was the very first time I got inside the gym ever. And then I stopped for a while. After like a year and a half, I stopped going to boxing, and I just stopped going to the gym. And I was like 13. I mean, it wasn't really a priority to go to the gym. And my mom got back into the gym that my 8th grade year of middle school or junior high. And she was like, come on, let's go to the gym. And at that point, I like, from a very young age, I was like very self-conscious about my body. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm gaining weight. Like, yeah, like let me go with you to the gym. So I was a cardio bunny, like always like doing like spinning classes and cardio classes and just being on the treadmill. Like that was me working out. I had no idea about lifting. And then there was this class at the gym that opened up. It was like it was called Pump Blast. And it was just like little like 2 dumbbells, like, you know,
the pink like, little dumbbells,
basic stuff. Yeah, it was like for moms. It's like for moms who would just want to get a little bit in shape, get that toned look or whatever. And I started doing it. I'm like, okay, like my mom, I would work out with my mom. So I'm like, okay, like she's doing it, I'm gonna just do it too. And it was like benching with like little like 5-pound like little bars, and like, you know, squatting like air squats and like stuff like that. But it burned, and I remember I loved it. Like I would wake up so early. The class was at 7. I would wake up like so early just to go to that class. I loved it. And then you know, I went to high school, and I wasn't into sports in high school. I like didn't really like volleyball or just like things like that everybody was doing in my high school. I never really liked it. And then one of my friends was like, hey, you should try powerlifting. And I was like, no, like I don't know what that is. And she was like, it's just like we bench, we squat, and we deadlift. And I thought, oh shit, like that's what I do at the gym, that little class.
You're like, I got those pink dumbbells going, like shit, I'm pretty good.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, like, you know, let me do that. And in high school, it's geared lifting, it's not raw. So I'm like, okay, like, all right, like she kind of convinced me. She was like, do it, because she had just joined and she wanted me to join. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And I just kind of said yes to shut her up, because she was coming, like she was on me about it every single day. And one day she was like, come on, let's go talk to the coach. And I'm like, okay, fine. So I went, like not even like excited about it. I just kind of wanted to please her. And so the coach saw me. He was like, yeah, the coach in high school, my coach in high school was very motivational, real like real encouraging. So he encouraged the hell out of me. He was like, do it, like I just do it. And I'm like, okay, fine. Like it was kind of more of a like, I'm gonna just do it, like just do it. And I thought, I thought at the gym I squat and bench and deadlift. It should be the same thing. It should be fun. Oh, it was different. It was not like the little 2-pound like bars and like, you know, the little stuff. And I started doing it, and then they're like, she was explaining to me about like the suits and like stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, so we put on the suits, and you know, I think it was like within a month, we were in the suits because when I joined, it was around December. And
how old were you?
In January. I was still 14 at the time. I was about to turn 15 in April.
Okay.
So I was just barely starting, and so we got into the suits, and I liked it. Like I remember being like, oh, I cut up from the suits, and I'm like, oh, this is fun. Like this is fun. So I started doing it, and I remember when I first joined, a lot of like it was a huge team, like a huge team. I'm talking about like 50 girls.
Was this at your high school?
Yes. So my high school where I live, it's huge, but like, you know, season came along in January, and I remember I think my lifts were like 185 squat, a 70-pound bench, and a 205 deadlift. And this was like geared, like I was a baby, and so I did it. Like I did it, and I liked it. I enjoyed getting into the suits and squatting. Like I didn't know anything, but I just liked competing. It was fun for me, and I sucked. I mean, I completely sucked, and I mean, I kind of expected that because I'm so new, but also I'm very competitive, like crazy competitive, like in everything, not just powerlifting. Like I'm so competitive, so I'm like, oh, you know what? I want to be good. Like I want to be good, and that year I didn't make it to regionals, North State, but my coach took me. He was like, my coach had this thing. He believed that if you take girls and like have them see what regionals and state is all about, they're gonna get excited about it and they're gonna want to become better. So he took me to regionals, and I was there helping like the other girls who were actually competing, and I was also watching. And there was this one girl who stood out to me, and man, she was crazy strong. Like she was a 114, like pulling 370 pounds. And to me, like I'm like, damn, like, and she did it so like gracefully, like so girly, but also like she was putting a lot of weight. So I remember seeing her, and I'm like, damn, I want to be like this girl. I literally thought like I want to be like this girl. Like she was breaking records like left and right, and in high school they announced it. It's like huge. It's like on platform 3, attempting to break a record, and everybody would just like gather around and just watch you lift. And I'm like, man, that is so cool. Like, I want to do that. And from then on, I had my mindset. Okay, I'm going to do that. Like, that's it. I'm going to do it. And she won state. It was regionals, and then she went on state, and she had all these flags and like the state champion. And I'm like, damn, like I want to do that. So I worked my ass off like in the summer and up until next year in January. But that time I was a sophomore already. I had gone from 185 pounds to 330 pounds in that year, and that month, like in those months. So I saw myself getting stronger. I was like, okay, I'm stronger, but I still wasn't winning. I would go to the meets, and I would always get second place, always, like all the time. And so I'm very competitive. Instead of going to the meet and trying to do my best and trying to, PR at the end of the day, I wanted to go in there beating everybody. So that was my focus. Like, I'm going to beat her and her and her. Like, I don't care if I, like, don't PR. I just want to beat everybody. And that always, like, backfired on me because instead of making the smart choices and, choosing smart numbers or going for a PR, even if it's, like, a 5-pound PR for me, I would always be like, well, my PR, my max is 330, but, I can pull 350 to win. Let's pull it. Like, it was like that, and it was dumb, but I was super competitive, and obviously it never worked. So I went to state, and I got 4th that year as a sophomore. and I knew I was gonna win state. I'm like, I'm gonna win state. I don't know, maybe my senior year, whatever, but I'm gonna do it. Like, so I was very competitive. I kept training. I every single day to practice. My life in high school revolved around powerlifting. Like, that was it. I didn't go out. I didn't go to football games. I didn't. Everybody was out like on Friday nights, like going to a football game, because football is huge in Texas as well. I was at the gym in the weight room by myself, like, or I was like somewhere training for next year, and I was already like, and that was me all the time, and my friends would be like, hey, let's go to the football game, and I'm like, no, like, why not? Oh, I'm gonna go to the gym.
That's like, crazy for a teenage girl.
Yeah, I was just like, no, like, never went out, never, nothing, like, just focused. And
is that how you are now?
So yes, I even now sometimes I think like, man, I take the sport too seriously, like, as far as like making it like making it like super important, but at the same time, like, I feel like that's what it takes. You have to find, that's what it takes to win, especially like national at the world level. Like, you can't expect to win if you're not giving it your all. And I feel like, sometimes I feel like that's what it takes to, be a world champion or a national champion. But in high school, I was super dedicated to it, and but people would be like, "You're the first girl in, and you're the last one out," and it would always make you feel better, because I always worked, because to me training like was fun. Like, to other people it was like, oh, I gotta train. To me, I love training. That was my fun. Like I like to do that. And so it wasn't really like a task. Training for me wasn't a task. It was just more of a fun thing to do. That's how I had my fun. And so yeah, and then my junior year came around, and I told myself, like, I'm just gonna worry about myself. I'm just gonna worry about PRing. I'm just gonna worry about getting better at each meet, instead of trying to beat everybody else. Like, I need to get better. Like, that didn't work last year, so I'm gonna focus on just getting better. And it was kind of a hard thing to do, because I was very competitive. Like, sometimes I'd be like I would kind of go and like stalk girls and see what they were doing, just because I am like, well, I want to see if I'm like beating you. But yeah, so my junior year, I made it a point to just forget about everybody else, but just worry about me and my lifts. And that year I won state. And I blew everybody out by a lot. And I even took home like regionals and state. I took like plaques home, and I was like, okay, like, I did it. Like, I'm finally a state champion. Like I worked so hard for this. And then after that, I kept working. I didn't just like, oh, well, I already won state. Now that I want to say, okay, like, now I want to be a back-to-back state champion. Now I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what I want to do. So I kept training my ass off. And between that, after my junior year, that I stopped, after I won state, my junior year, I automatically straight went into bodybuilding. So I did a bodybuilding show that within like that summer.
Oh wow!
I did a bodybuilding show that summer going on to my senior year. I actually did a bodybuilding show, and I did the bikini, and I loved bodybuilding. I loved it. So I did it, and people, my bodybuilding coach would be like, "So when's the next show?" And I'm like, "Nah, the show was around September, and we typically don't start getting ready for powerlifting and getting into gear until like November and December."
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, no, like, that's it for me. Like, I have to go back to powerlifting, like, And so yeah, as soon as I finished off my show, I got like into the gym. I got like into gear, and I started training. And at this time around like my senior year, it sounds kind of cocky, but I already knew like there wasn't going to be anybody that was going to beat me. When I was a senior, I'd already had a lot of like experience, and I knew like I have a lot of confidence in my work ethic, and I know that nobody worked harder than me and was going to beat me. So my senior year, it was more of a like, try to just lift impressive weight, just to, because I'm the type of lifter that when I used to lift in high school, I loved the attention. I loved everybody just like watching me and just like cheering for me, and just like, I loved it. So I'm like, okay, now I want to be like crazy strong, like strong. And every meet I tried to PR, just, you know, I'm like, oh, I want to be squatting for 140 pounds. Like, I want to be benching like 225. And to me, those were impressive numbers back then. And I was like, I want to go into these meets and hit these numbers and just, you know, be an impressive lifter. That's at that point, that's all I wanted to be, an impressive lifter. And yeah, so my senior year came along, and I got my goal that I wanted to get. I won state again. I took, you know, my plaques home again, and I was a back-to-back state champion. And at that point, I was so happy. I was like, okay, like, you know, I finally did what I wanted to do and what I worked hard for so long. But then I was like, okay, but I want more. I'm like, I just don't want to be a state champion. I want to be a national champion. Like, and it was that time where I tweeted like, oh, I want to be a national champion. And Jim Benefield was like, well, let's do it. You know, join USAPL. And I did. I won nationals last year, my senior year, around May, I think. That's open nationals. So I had just won state in March. And then in April, I qualified for open nationals. And then in May, I won nationals. So I was like, okay, like, you know, I liked it. I was like, okay. And then from there, from after winning open nationals, I kind of took a break. I was like, well, I don't know where to go from here now, because one, I had graduated. I had graduated high school. So the whole thing about lifting equipped changed, because equipped lifting is so hard and you can't do it by yourself. You need you need at least somebody else with you to help you out, get on the suit, wrap you, spot you. Like, so much that goes onto it. And I'm like, I can't do equipped, because we all graduated, everybody going to college, people are leaving out of town to go to college, people are working, I'm going to school, like, everybody's schedules are all over the place. So we're no longer a team. There's no longer that team that would always help me out, or that coach that was there with me for a 5-hour session every single day. Like, I don't have it anymore. So I kind of stopped for about, I want to say like 9 or 10 months, like powerlifting at all. And I'm like, I thought I'll figure it out eventually. Like, I'll figure it out. Just give me time and I'll figure it out how to get back into equipped lifting and stuff like that. And then I just kept going to the gym like a regular person, and then around like December last year, I felt so like unmotivated. I'm like, I would tell myself, like, why do I even go to the gym? Because for the past 4 years, I had a purpose to go to the gym. I had a purpose to train. I had like, there was an end goal. And then now I'm like, I'm just going to the gym just to go. Like, I'm not working for anything. And I felt so, like, I guess empty, and like, I didn't want to go to the gym anymore. I would skip all the time. And that was never me. Like, if you told me to skip a gym session in high school, I would freak out. Mm-hmm. And I would stop going. And I'm like, okay, like, something needs to change, and I need to get back into powerlifting. And then I'm like, and I love gear, like equipped powerlifting. I love it. So I'm like, but it's going to be hard. Like, who's going to help me out? Who's going to wrap me? Who's going to be there for me? Like, I need somebody else, and I didn't have anybody else. So I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to go raw. I'm going to just do a raw meet and see what happens. And I signed up like in February, and then in March the meet happened, and I was getting ready, and it was so weird to me, because I was so used to getting ready and training in gear. It was different, but it was also easier. Like, I would just go to the gym and just train without having to like put on a suit and like get wrapped, and oh my god, it was just so much easier. So I did the meet. I loved the meet. I loved lifting raw because it was so much easier. Like when you compete, when you do a meet like geared or equipped, it's so hectic. Like, you have to warm up. Like, you have to warm up without the gear, and then you gotta put on your gear, and then you gotta warm up again, and then you gotta get wrapped for your warm ups, and then it's just like this whole like commotion going on. And for raw, it was just like, well, you just warm up and that's it. You're ready to go for squats. Like, that's it. And I love that it was so calm and it was so simple, and I didn't have to be running around back and forth trying to put on a suit. And I like that. I like that. And my goal this year was to qualify for nationals. So when I did that raw meet, I was like, well, I want to go to nationals again. I want to compete at the national level again. but I'm like, but I'm going to do it raw this time. See if I like that. And so I qualified, I competed, I qualified. And then, you know, I kept training. And then nationals came around and I won nationals again. So yeah, that's been my whole powerlifting journey, and I hope to continue it and hopefully one day become a world champion. That's my next goal. And I feel like I have a lot of confidence in my work ethic and my, you know, competitive drive. And I feel like it's gonna happen. I don't know when, but I feel like, you know, it's gonna happen.
That was a epic timeline. I was like, for a second there, I was like, shit, maybe I won't even take part in this podcast. Just let you go.
No, yeah, I love, you know, when people ask me about my powerlifting journey, I just kind of like, you know, I just kind of like run them down through the whole thing.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, it's not just like, well, I competed, like it's been a journey for me, and I feel like I can't explain my journey without, okay, this is day one. This is how I started.
From day one right till now. What's interesting is
it's crazy.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is that high school was equipped lifting. That's kind of interesting to me. Why is that? Do you know?
Yeah, it's. I think after I found out, because when I first joined powerlifting, I thought that all powerlifting was equipped, all of it. Like even outside of high school, I thought it was still equipped. And when I found out that no, like there was raw, I was like, well, that's so weird. Like, how come they don't have raw lifting in high school? Like, why, you know, it was just so weird to me. But I feel like powerlifting started off equipped. So I think that's why the high schools just leave it at that. But yeah, it's super huge in Texas, and I love it. Season starts in January and ends in March, and there's a meet every single weekend.
That's wild. So high school or high school powerlifting is just like another team, like another sport at the high school.
Yeah, so it's called Texas High School Powerlifting Association.
So it's like it's its own thing.
Yeah, that's the federation for high school lifting. That's the federation. And for women, it's Texas High School Powerlifting Women's Association. So it has the boy and the girl, and then they have their own website where if you break a record, it'll have all the state records, and it has rankings too. So that to me was like, I would check after every single Saturday that a meet happened, I would go and check if I was still number one. Like, they'll tell you the rankings of like the entire state. So I was my senior year, I was first in the entire Texas. And after every single meet, I would go check if I was still number one. But yeah, they'll have the rankings there. They have records. They have regional records, state records. They have a bunch of things. So they have their own little website and like their Hall of Fame champions and like just stuff like that. So yeah, it's super cool. I love high school powerlifting. Yeah,
that's wild. That's pretty cool though.
Yeah, my sister just joined. She's 15, and she joined high school She joined powerlifting in her high school with my old coach. So I'm super excited to see how she does. And I always tell her, like, if you don't like it, that's perfectly fine. Like, it doesn't have to, just because it was my thing doesn't mean that has to be.
It'll probably be hard for her. It'll probably be hard for her kind of following in your footsteps, you know?
Yeah. My mom tells her that too. Like, you know, your sister was, you know, really, really good. And I always tell her, like, if you don't try it out, because she wanted to try it out. And I'm like, try it out. If you don't like it, that's fine. Don't feel like you have to be pressured to stick with it or to be good just because I stuck with it or whatever. She loves it. And she's like, oh yeah, I want to do it. And so I get excited for her because I tell her, like, if anything, I can help you out. Like, I know so much more things now that I wish I knew when I was in high school. Like, so much more things. And I'm like, and I can, like, pass those things down to you and, like, teach you correct ways and, you know, how to properly bench in a bench shirt. And it sounds dumb, but I didn't know how to properly bench in a bench shirt. Like, I had no idea until my senior year. And I'm like, if I would have known how to do that, like, since the very beginning, my bench would have been so much higher equipped, but I didn't. And I'm like, but I know how, and I'm going to teach you. I'm going to teach you how to do things properly and just things that I wish I knew but didn't know. And I tell her that will help you out a ton. And I'm just so excited for her.
Yeah, I mean, she's kind of going to start out with a huge advantage,
Yeah, so
we've already went through all
super
this.
excited.
That's
Yeah, and I tell
wild.
her, like, if you have any questions, just don't hesitate to ask me. And she's like, okay. And I'm kind of letting her do her thing right now. I don't want to be too involved into it. I want her to let her explore it on her own. And then, just see what it's about on her own without me having to say, like, well, just so she can, see if she really likes it. But as far as now, she loves it. So, yeah.
Well, just kind of in general, it's wild how big the female powerlifting in general has got. Like now when you go to meets, it's at least 50-50 between females and males. Shit, sometimes I even feel like there's more females powerlifting at these meets than guys. It's crazy.
Yeah. And I remember when I first started, powerlifting it was growing. And then now that when I graduated, you see the growth in the sport as far as like high school lifting. You see how big it's gotten. And it's, I guess, kind of like how USAPL has gotten. Raw Nationals was like probably the biggest meet ever. And it was the biggest meet ever. And you see it like getting bigger and bigger. I think same thing with high school. Each year, there's more people at state. There's more girls. There's more competition. Like if you would have like back then, the numbers like that one state when I was a freshman, those numbers wouldn't even give you like top 5 now.
Yeah.
So it grows and it's growing. There's more competitive girls and guys, and it's just growing overall. And I feel like that's awesome.
Yeah, it's huge for the sport. I mean, the competition side of it alone, like even when you look at USAPL Raw Nationals, the totals that won 5-6 years ago, I mean, they're nothing today.
Yeah, it's like nothing now. It's like you got to step up your game. Yeah, it's and I feel like people like me that love that competitive, it's awesome. Like it makes you work harder, and it kind of like kind of makes the sport like, okay, like it's growing. We're more serious about it now. Like look at the people, like look at the numbers these people are like putting out. Like it's huge. Like it's not just like, well, you can come and win nationals with, whatever total. Like no, you want to come and win nationals, you gotta work for it, because there's other people who are up there. So
yeah, it's a legit sport now.
Yeah, I feel like it legitimizes it a little bit more that people are so competitive and people are so strong now. Yeah.
So you're 19. What does like a week in your life look like? I mean, obviously you take training pretty serious. What else do you have going on?
Well, school right now, I go to school, and I also work. I work at a supplement store, so I do that. So that's pretty much it. Like just me training, school and work. That's pretty much it. I make sure I get my sleep in, because it's very important. And if I'm not doing that, I'm probably just with friends, helping them out. Like this weekend, actually tomorrow, I leave tomorrow for a powerlifting meet. So my friends are competing, and they do USPA. So they do classic raw or something with the knee wraps, and I'm the wrapper, so I gotta go help them out. And I'm gonna be that weekend at the powerlifting meet. So if I'm not training, school or work, I'm probably doing something related to powerlifting. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do.
What are you going to school for?
I am majoring in political science. So I love government. And it's when I tell that to people, they're like, oh, I thought you'd be majoring in like, I don't know, like nutrition or kinesiology or like sports medicine or something. And I love training, but I also I love government and politics, and I'm majoring in that. So maybe one day I can get into law school, and I kind of want to have a little bit of background before I do go into law school. And I mean, I love politics and law and stuff like that. So I decided to major in political science.
Yeah, that's interesting. So law school is something you're thinking about down the line?
Oh yeah, definitely. I like I said, I'm very competitive, and I know, like I have confidence in my work ethic, so I know I know it's just a matter of me, like studying and like making sure I'm doing all my work, and like because I feel like I can get into law school. It's just a me of putting my grind to it, know? But I feel like that's very attainable to me if I put my work to it.
Well, one thing that I've always found is when you're able to be super successful in one area, all those same traits that led you to be successful in that area, you can transfer over to other areas.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, it takes discipline. So I feel like if you can be disciplined for one thing, I feel like you can you learn how to be disciplined for other things. So yeah.
And kind of the other way too, it goes the other way around. So it's like if you see somebody who like is not disciplined with their body, like they're not disciplined, they can't work out, they can't be disciplined to what they're eating, and then they're kind of like a sloppy person, you almost assume in your head, oh, well, they're probably undisciplined in other areas of their life too. It's not always the case. Not always the case, but sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I mean, when I was in high school, I was very competitive about, lifting and real serious about it. But I was also serious about my schoolwork, my academic. I remember I wanted to have the best essay in class. I wanted to have the highest grade in class. Like, it wasn't just powerlifting. Like, I wanted to be like, what? Like, the teacher would pass out. I was in AP classes, and the teacher would pass out like the essays or whatever, and the grades. And I'm like, well, what'd you get? You know? And I was wanting to be like, well, I got a higher grade, or I just. And like in all aspects of my life, I feel like I've always said, if I'm gonna give my heart and soul and my like everything into it, you better believe I'm gonna be the best. Like that's it. And I could be like at the gym, like during cardio, and I look at the person next to me, like if they're going faster, I'm gonna go faster. Like, it's just like in anything. And sometimes I feel like, man, I shouldn't be this competitive about like little things, but it's just I like that I'm competitive. I feel like it's what drives me. I think if I wasn't, I feel like I would be like, well, whatever, I feel like that's what drives me, my competitiveness.
Well, I can relate to that 100%.
Really?
Like I think like the competitive drive was pretty much what got me through school, even like in college. I was the same way. Like if we took a test, I would be that kid that would like glance around and be like, oh, like kind of peek around people's shoulders, like, oh shit, what'd you get? Oh, a 90? Oh, okay, that's pretty good. Too bad I got a 98. Like,
Yeah.
That's how I always was.
How I am too.
Yeah, that competitive drive. Again, I can relate because I'm like, sometimes I'm like, shit, I wish I could turn it off because it can kind of be, I don't know. When you're super competitive, it's like you're just super competitive. But a lot of successful people have that trait.
Yeah, for everything. Like my friends would do something and I'm like, I bet I can do it. Like I can do it, or I bet I'm better than you, or no, I'll beat you. Like I'm just real. And it's sometimes it's like things that I'm setting up myself a failure. Like when I don't know, the guys bet me to do something and I'm like, I can do better than you. And I know I'm gonna like probably not end up like beating them, but I just wanna like show them that okay, like maybe I can, but yeah, it's just real competitive, and I like that about myself. So I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't like, but yeah, there's some days where I'm just like, like I shouldn't be as competitive. Like, it's like just have fun. And I think that's also one of my issues, that I'm so competitive, I forget to have fun sometimes. Like I think powerlifting, the reason why I joined, the reason why I've stuck with it so long is because at the end of the day, I'm having fun with it. I love doing it. And I've always said the day I stop having fun with it is the day I stop doing it. But sometimes because I'm so competitive and so like focused on like, being good, or, just PRing, or just like, being a better lifter overall, I forget that, okay, like you need to have fun too. Like this is also about having fun, not just like, like competitive. Like, sometimes I have to remind myself like, okay, like, why do you do this? I do this because I'm having fun with it at the end of the day. Like I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't have fun with it. So I have to remind myself sometimes like, yeah, okay, it's good, but also remember, keep in mind that you have to, have fun doing it. So sometimes you have to kind of like dial it back a little bit.
Yeah. Have you found now that you're not around like the team atmosphere like you were in high school, is it more fun kind of training on your own, or do you miss that team aspect?
Yeah. Okay. So in high school, my team, we were a group of girls and we were incredibly close, and we were powerlifting is like, well, it's not a team sport, but for us, it almost felt exactly like a team sport. Like we helped each other out so much. So in high school you can also win like meets, you can win as a team too. So they have like points. Like I think if you get first place, I think you have like 5. That's 5 points. If you get second place, that's like 3 points, and then so on. So at the end of the meet, the team that has the most like points added up, that's the team that will win. So we always try to like, motivate each other and be like, well, you got to get first, and you got to get second, because if we tidied it all up, like we win as a team. So we were always we were always very close, and we're competitive with other teams, and we wanted to be, when we walked in, we wanted to be like, oh, that team is here, we as a team, we were also competitive, and they were so funny. We got along so well, and I do miss, when I did graduate high school, I missed having those like 10 other people with me training, because it's fun. It's fun when you have 10 other people who are literally in training for the same exact reason, and they understand what you're going through, and they understand training and everything. So it's a lot fun, versus when I started going to the gym by myself. It was just me. I was so used to having like the other 10 girls with me. So yeah, it was kind of an adjustment I had to do. Like, okay, I'm no longer with my team, but that's fine. Like it's something that you have to grow out of. And so yeah, now I train by myself most of the time. If not, I'll train with other powerlifters. I go to my gym and we'll train together, or they'll be around the gym. And I go to a gym I go to a powerlifting gym. Then I go to another gym that's very powerlifting friendly. So now I feel like, okay, versus when I used to go to a commercial gym, I was like the only powerlifter there. And it does feel like kind of like, there's nobody there that I feel like I'm comfortable with. But then now, you switch my atmosphere in gyms, and I feel a lot more comfortable in my gyms now. I feel a lot more comfortable, and I like training by myself now. And yeah, I do miss being in a team, because it's a lot funner, but it's a lot more fun. But I already got used to kind of training by myself, and then also the fact that I'm in a powerlifting gym, and powerlifting friendly gyms just make it that much better training by yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It probably helped you stick with it too, being a 13, 14-year-old girl, having that team atmosphere, because it's like, I don't know, I'm kind of picturing like a normal 13 or 14-year-old girl who maybe lives, in a different part of the country, doesn't have a powerlifting team at their high school. Like thinking like down the line here, because as the sport continues to grow, it gets more and more competitive. Like you have a huge advantage over a girl who started powerlifting at like 21, which is probably, I don't know, probably like college age, like 18 to 21 is probably the time that most girls are getting into powerlifting. But as it gets more competitive, as with other sports, like if you start at 13 and you're, when you get into your mid 20s, like you got over 10 years of powerlifting versus a girl that just started powerlifting at 21, like you're going to have a huge advantage. So if a girl that lives in other parts of the country, like how do they get involved at 13 years old, like without a high school team? It's interesting.
Yeah. I for sure, definitely. I feel like having that team helped me stay in it, having that guidance from my team, and just being really comfortable and enjoying not only the sport itself, but just being around those people helped a lot. I do believe that there are some coaches who can ruin the sport for you. Like there's some coaches who just will make you hate a sport. And my coach was awesome. He made me love the sport more, actually, like because of him. And just being with the team and just having an awesome coach and being in an awesome atmosphere just makes you love the sport more than you should. It makes you want to it makes you more excited about training. It makes you more excited about, competing, because you have these people behind you, versus when you're just by yourself. It's like, well, it kind of sucks sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, especially, kind of going back to that story that you told about going to the boxing gym. I feel like a lot of girls, that's like their perception of all gyms, especially when they're younger. Like, oh man, there's going to be guys there throwing around weights so aggressively with loud music. Like,
yeah,
they don't want to do it.
I'm like, for sure. I think I would have quit boxing like way before if my parents didn't tell me to go. I was just so intimidated at first, but it's funny to think like I was that girl but then again, I was like 12, but still, like if you would have told me when I was 12, like, yeah, you're going to be lifting, and you're gonna be like those guys. And just give it like 5 years, and you're gonna be like those guys. I would have not believed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just it's funny to think about it now.
What did guys say in high school? Like, were like the guys powerlifters and the girl powerlifters like kind of close, or how about like just the average, like your other classmates that were guys? Did they think it was like cool, like you're into powerlifting, or how was that dynamic?
Yeah, so in high school, powerlifting, when I first joined, it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't something that people give a lot of attention to. So in high school, me and my best friend, we made it a point. Like, we loved sports so much, we made it a point to, we're like, no, we're gonna make it a big deal here in the school. Like, it might not be a big deal now, but we're gonna make it a big deal. Like, when the guys would like, or when like the track team, or when the football guys would go to like state or something, it was a huge deal. And it is a huge deal to go to state. But when the powerlifters went to state and got second places to state as a team, nobody made it a big deal. And we never liked that. We wanted to be like, well, we deserve the credit too. Like, we worked our asses off to state. Where's our credit? Where's our attention? So we made it a point, like, okay, we're gonna make them take us seriously. Okay, how do we make them take us seriously? Being like strong and being the best. Like, I think that's the number one like thing. Like, you can't like deny, like, okay, well, these girls are always winning at every single meet. Like, come on, So me and her coached. So funny thing, me and her coached the powerlifting team. So when we joined, my coach was fairly new to powerlifting as well. He had come from football and track. So powerlifting was totally new to him, and he was learning as we were learning. So me and my friend were always like, okay, we got to make them strong. So we, when we were freshmen and sophomores, we would kind of do our thing. Like, coach would be like, oh, this is what you do. But then we'd also like add other exercises that we believed would help us get stronger. So we were always like the hardworking bees in the room, like always looking up things, always reading articles, always looking at YouTube videos. I remember one time I was in my math class and I saw a whole hour-long video of how to squat. And it was like, I was like a freshman. Yeah. And it was like brace and technique and hip hinging and all that fun stuff. And I was like, not even paying attention to class. I was just hearing like soaking in all the information. And in high school, nobody really knew what bracing was. It's kind of dumb because you think like, well, it's like you have to know, but nobody really knew how to properly brace. You would hear people like, but nobody would brace correctly. Like, nobody. And I remember I was like, okay, like, I gotta start learning how to correctly brace, and like, so I started learning it. And once I got it, I told everybody else, like, no, like, you gotta brace. And when it became second nature to me, when I learned how to properly do it, I feel like it helped me tremendously, like a lot. Just be more tight around exploding and stuff like that. And I see that it will help me, so I would tell everybody else, like, okay, no, you gotta learn how to brace, and this is what you do. So I was teaching everybody there, and me and my best friend would do that with everything. Like, we would look up like a bunch of things, a bunch of how to get stronger and stuff like that, and we would kind of implement it within ourselves. And if we felt it, like, okay, this kind of works, like, let's try to implement this to the rest of the team, then we would kind of like start giving like pointers and like little like tips that we just want everybody to get stronger. And my coach was also new, so he was learning as well with us. As we were learning, he was learning about like powerlifting training. And if you think like, why would you make a powerlifting coach who's not like 100% knows everything about powerlifting? Why would you make him a powerlifting coach? It's just in the meantime, I think the powerlifting coach had left, and they used like a replacement. Yeah. So they chose him, or he took the spot. And so he eventually, when we were juniors, he made us captains of the team. So we were like, okay, this is our time. Like, this is our time where we really like get the team and make them strong and like make powerlifting a serious thing at the school. So we coached them. We kind of it was funny because back then we had no idea what RPE was. Like, RPE blew up like what like 5-6 years ago. I'm not too sure, but in high school, we had no idea what RPE was or all that fun stuff. And when I found out, when I found out like a couple years ago what RPE really was, or a year ago, I told my best friend, I'm like, it's so funny because this is what we used to do, but we had no idea it was RPE.
Yeah.
Like we just had no idea, like that's what it was. And so our training would kind of like go based off of how we were feeling that day. So some days, like we had awesome days and we took advantage of it. And then some days we're like, yeah, there's no way I can push this weight. Let's bring it down. Like we never really, for us, like we never believed like, well, you're having a shitty day, but you still have to move this weight no matter what. Like you're just like, you know, you're asking for energy, like for injuries. You're probably going to overtrain and your body's just not going to recover. And like all these things. And that's what we thought in high school. So no, like we kind of did it based on how you felt that day and what we needed to hit and stuff like that. So now that like RPE is like a huge thing now, it's like, it's funny because that's kind of what we used to do, like go based off on how we were feeling that day.
Yeah, kind of intuitively.
You know, yeah, we didn't rate it like 1 through 10, but you know, just we would still like go on based off how we were feeling that day. So yeah, we learned, and then we would tell our coach, like, coach, this is what we learned, and this is what, and he would see it work, and he'd be like, okay. So he would learn from us too. It was just like a learning experience for just everybody. And
you were coaching the coach.
Yeah. We were just like, you know, programming these girls and programming ourselves really, like, and we would try different things and some things wouldn't work. And it was so funny. It was so interesting to also do because me and her be doing the same thing, but some days, like she was having an amazing bench day and I was having the shittiest bench day ever. And we would like sit down and talk about like the variables, like, well, we do the same thing. Why is my bench so shitty today?
Yeah,
just like fucking crazy. So it's everybody's different. And you know, that's when we realized like, okay, like, you know, we're not the same. Like my body responds, well, I would tell her, like, we would tell each other, like, your body responds better to that than mine does. And for some reason, my body's just not, you know, and we just kind of adjust to each other. And we knew each other's bodies so well at that point, you know, years of just kind of like try and error on your own body. You can already know what works for you and what doesn't, or what will, you know, make you stronger. And we would kind of like, you know, tell the girls this, well, you can do this, but, you know, keep in mind that, you know, if it doesn't work, then, you know, we need to switch something up. Like, and it's harder. I always say it's harder, like, to coach other girls, other people, because you don't know their bodies. Like their bodies I know mine very well, and she knows hers very well. So it was easy to coach each other, to kind of like go back and forth. And we already knew, we would pay attention to our own bodies and just kind of figure it out. But to the rest of the team, they had no idea. So it's not like we couldn't ask them like, well, how do you feel? Because they didn't really pay attention to it. And we tell them like, okay, we need to pay attention to this. And how do you feel? And like, that way they start being more mindful of what works for them and what doesn't. And sometimes we'd gather like before like training, and we just sit down and just talk about every single girl. Like, okay, what are we gonna have this girl do? Okay, should we have her do the same thing this girl's doing? Like, just kind of like, we're like little, you know, 17, 18-year-old, like a 17-year-old, like year olds trying to figure out how to program like these girls that we have no idea, you know?
It's a good learning experience.
I mean, it worked. Yeah, I mean, it worked. Like, I won state, she won state too, my best friend, and we had a lot of the girls place at state. So I think we also got second as a team. So me and her would joke around, like, sometimes, like, I feel like we don't know what we're doing, but hey, the team got second at state, and me and you are state champions. We must be doing something right.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it was just a whole learning experience for both of us. I feel like, and it was so hard when after high school, after, you know, we graduated, I had to do my own programming, and I was like, shit, I need her input. Like, I'm like, well, I need her. Like, she knows me really good too. And sometimes you need like another somebody else's perspective.
Yeah.
And I'm like, shit, well, what do I do? And I had no idea. Like, after high school, I had no idea what to do. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, how did I couldn't do it anymore without her perspective, without her input. And I kind of tried to do it on my own, and then that's when I did. That's when I qualified for Raw Nationals, and then after that, I'm like, okay, and then I got a coach after that. So I've been with him since then, but yeah, it's been a whole like learning experience, and I'm still learning a lot now. Like I know so much more now when I got with my new coach and things that I didn't even know. And it's just funny to see how like I'm just excited to keep learning and learning more.
Yeah, it's hard to be successful without a coach at this level.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, like sometimes it kind of sucks because you're doing your own programming and it's like you need somebody's like perspective and input and somebody to tell you like, well, because you in your head you think you're doing something right, but when somebody else tells you like, hey, that doesn't sound, you're like, oh shit, that's right. How come I didn't see that before? And it's like you need somebody else, and it's just so much simpler to just go into the gym and train without having to like break your head about how you're gonna program yourself like while you're training. It's just so much better and so much simpler and makes life easier just to look at your program and be like, this is what I gotta do today.
Yeah, it's so much easier just to not think about it and just trust your coach.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, so it's just so much better. Like you work better and you're a little bit more stress free because you don't have to be like, oh well, what if I'm doing this wrong or what if I'm, it's like I trust my coach and whatever he says, that's what we're doing.
Yeah. Do you think you'll ever go back and do another bikini competition?
Yikes! I don't know. I feel like maybe in the future, like talking about like maybe I don't know, like 5 years or something. Right now, I feel like I have unfinished business with powerlifting and some goals that I have to that I want to achieve. But I feel like if I ever would go back to bodybuilding and to do a bikini competition, it would be just to kind of like just to flex, to be honest, just to like prove that I can still do a show, but nothing like, oh, I want to be, I don't know, like an IDB pro or something. Not like that, but just kind of just for fun, to be honest. I think I would just do it for fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
And I do see myself doing it again, but just for fun.
Yeah. Well, of course. I mean, it's if you enjoyed it the first time. Did you enjoy like the whole dieting process or no?
Yeah.
How's your nutrition now?
It was so hard. Huh?
Do you keep your nutrition pretty dialed in now, or how is that?
Well, yes, for the most part, I try to. Once I'm like prepping for like nationals and stuff like that, I prefer. So I've been counting macros for about like 2 years already. Ever since I started the bodybuilding show, I kind of found out what macros were and how to count, how to track, and all that stuff. And I've been doing that for about 2 years. So I've done full cutting stages, just counting macros and cutting calories and all that fun stuff. And then I've done also stages of cutting where I'm not counting. I'm just clean eating, I guess. So I like a little bit more old school as far as clean eating. I just feel like with like counting macros, since I've been doing it for a while, I can guesstimate and like look at the food and be like, okay, I know how much carbs that is. I know how much a serving of this is. So I kind of keep that like in the back of my head. I'm mindful about it, but I don't track every single thing. I just kind of like eat clean and kind of like know how much protein I'm intaking because I already tracked it for so long. I know that I need to get 120 grams of protein and just, I just fall in just like, okay, this is what I should be consuming. It's easier for me. It makes me like, it's just easier for me. And it's just, I feel like it's just, I don't know. I prefer doing it like the old school style. Yeah, I don't have to be worried about like, well, I don't know, whatever, like, I don't know, like if I'm over a gram, whatever.
Yeah, definitely. Well, also too, when you've tracked for a couple of years, it's a great learning process. So then you can kind of ditch the scale a little bit, and you're a little bit better at eyeballing and kind of knowing what it should feel like what's about like what 120 grams of protein should be, for 4 meals or whatever.
Yeah. So sometimes I'll do that, and then I'm cutting down, good or whatever. And then if I like reach a plateau and I'm like, okay, I just kind of track what I've been eating for a week. And then from there, I'll cut calories and then just keep like ditch the scale again, just kind of keep eating that until I hit another plateau.
Did you have to cut weight much for any of your meets?
So in high school, I always averaged at 127, 126, and the weight class was 123. So it was like a 5-pound cut. it's easy. Like there were easy cuts, nothing too crazy, nothing like where I have to be like killing myself or anything. It was just all my cuts have been easy. I've never not made weight. So yeah, in high school I always averaged like 127, and I always would weigh in at like 121, 122. My coach and my friends would just kind of joke around and be like, "Oh, you should do the 114." Like I'm like, "There's no way I can cut down to the 114. Like, there's no way." And this is before I knew what counting macros and just like knew how to properly like have your nutrition in check. This is before I knew any of that, and I thought that there's no way I can cut down to the 114. Like there's just no way. And then so throughout my entire high school, I was a 123. And then once I graduated high school, for some reason I just got lighter.
Yeah.
And so I was averaging like on a regular day, like without doing cardio, without trying to cut, without anything, I would weigh myself when I was at 121. I'm like, what the hell? Like I like back then, like 121 was like the lightest I can possibly be. Now it's like just my like normal weight. And that's why I decided to do 114 raw. I'm like, you know what? I feel like if I really cut down, I can get down to 114 this time. So yeah, I did cut. I got down to 112, and it was just crazy to me. Like I could never do that in high school, but and I was younger in high school, so
you'd think you'd be lighter.
But I don't know. But I also feel like because I am now more mindful of what I eat, and I've been doing that ever since I learned like about how to properly eat and nutrition and all that stuff. I feel like it's not even like hard for me anymore. My body is just like my body composition has changed too. So I just feel like I have more muscle now on me, and it just burns more calories or whatever. And I feel like ever since I learned how to properly eat and feel my body and nutrition and all that stuff, I feel like that's when I became lighter, without even trying to. I mean, back then I would eat like one meal a day after practice in high school, and that was it. I wouldn't eat anything else. Yeah, like after practice, I would come and eat like I kind of knew like, okay, I had to eat protein and like chicken and like rice, but that was it. That was maybe like 30 grams of protein in one day.
Yeah.
And so now I like, okay, I know I have to get. I try my best to at least get like, my all my protein and a little bit, some carbs, depending if I have like, depending on how I'm feeling. But yeah, it's just right now. I'm not really like too crazy about it. I'm not like tracking, or I'm not like. I just make sure I get my protein in, and if I like the rest is whatever. But now when I start like prepping for meat, that's when I'm like, okay, gotta get everything back in check. Kind of just I kind of dial in my nutrition a little bit more and be more mindful and responsible about it. But yeah, I'm not one of those people who can do like crazy cuts last minute. I can't, like, so for Raw Nationals, I was weighing 120, 123, 124. And I prefer to do long cuts. So like 10 weeks out, like slowly cut calories. Like I could easily just like wait till like 2 weeks out and then just start cutting from there.
Yeah, and but like a big water cut.
Yeah, I would just die. So yeah, I like to do that like slowly. By the time like, the meet gets closer, I'm closer to my weight class. But if I do another meet at 114, I would probably want to be close to the meet before starting prep. Like, instead of starting prep at 123, 124, I want to start prep at like maybe like 120, just so I can be a little bit more closer.
Yeah.
To the weight. I'm not a big fan of cutting. It's not fun. So I just don't want to, do that again. Like I think for Raw Nationals, it was a little bit more, probably one of like it wasn't hard, but it was a little bit more intense than my other cuts. Just because I had to really cut like almost like 10 pounds. I think I cut 10 pounds. Usually my cuts are like 6 or 5 pounds. So, I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that again. So I just I gotta have to be more responsible to be at 120. That way, I just easy water load and I should be at, 114.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just gotta be more responsible about that.
Yeah, or even like cut beforehand, and then like the last month or something, you're already close to weight, so you can eat at maintenance. So you're not dieting like during the peaking process, you know, kind of cut beforehand, kind of stay maintenance around like within striking distance of like with a water cut. And then that way you're not dieting into the meat, you know, that might be a good idea.
Yes. I had to. Yeah. I was so dehydrated that day of nationals. I agree. I just need to be more responsible about it. And I feel like that's something that I'm still learning, how to just be more responsible about, like, you know, cutting weight and just making sure I'm like slowly losing that weight. So because I'm the type of lifter that I get affected if I do a drastic cut, I will feel it on my squats. Like my squats take the most toll if I cut.
Well, especially, I mean, you're light too. So you got to think of like, I mean, you're only 120 pounds. So think of it that way. Like the percentage, like 5 pounds, 10 pounds to you is a lot more, a greater percentage of body weight than someone like 200 pounds, you know, cutting 10 pounds.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So those are like things that I'm still learning as a lifter, and things that, okay, like, you know, now that I kind of went through the whole like cutting 10 pounds, okay, I know like not to, you know, you let myself go that much, or just kind of be more responsible about cutting weight a little bit sooner, just so I can lift super close to my weight that I'm going to be lifting come meet day. So
awesome.
Yeah.
This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah. How long has it been?
I don't know. I don't keep track usually. Decent amount.
I have no idea.
Yeah, it was fun. Got a cool backstory on you. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I don't get to say this a lot, like through my Instagram.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of that, how do you have fun kind of documenting everything through Instagram? That's kind of like a unique aspect of how I think one reason why powerlifting is growing so much is it lends itself really well to Instagram, you know, social media like that.
Yeah. I actually, like, so when I was in high school, I had my Instagram, but I never really posted like my training videos or anything like that, just because I didn't want anybody else to see what I was doing, or like, so I would never post anything. But I kind of regret it now. I felt like I should have posted more, so it would be cool to go back and see like my entire, powerlifting high school journey. There's only like bits of it. There's only like little highlights that I'll put like when I won state or regionals or whatever. But I felt that it would have been way nicer to go back and see my entire like journey of lifting in high school. And now my friends actually tell me like, you need to post more. I don't really post, before I wouldn't really post training videos. And they're like, you need to post more training videos. Like, you need to. And I'm like, I don't really like to post them. Like, I just never really posted my training. And they kind of convinced me to just start posting a little bit of my training. And I do that now. Like, when I deadlift, I kind of posted. I used to be the type of lifter that, like, if it wasn't impressive, like, why does anybody want to watch just a random girl like lift weights? Like, it's not impressive. It's not like huge weight. Like, I felt nobody's gonna care. But they're like, no, just post it. And whenever I do post like me deadlifting or me benching, people just like me, just like to see me like post and just kind of like, I don't know, just lift weights. And people are always asking, oh, your technique, or your bench or whatever. And I never really noticed those things until I started posting. And I'm like, oh shit, I guess my arch is all right, I guess. But yeah, I never, like, to me, it was not a big deal until like I would post them, and then people would be like, oh, your arch is so good. And I'm like, you know what? It kind of is now that I look at it, Yeah, it's just, Instagram can, people have, seem to be liking, I guess, just the little training videos. So I just kind of post them sometimes. Also for me, I kind of made it a point to myself, like, okay, I need to post more. Like, I need to post just so when I can look back, I remember like, oh yeah, my training videos. And I wish sometimes I would have posted more when I was in high school. I'm like, man, I should have posted like all my training and all that fun stuff, just to kind of have it there for me. So I kind of want to do that with, now that I'm doing raw, and then now that I'm continuing powerlifting, I want to have it there just for me also.
Yeah. What did you post before? Just selfies?
just like selfies and me at the gym, like, like a gym selfie, and then just like the random, hey, I want steak, like the random, like, me winning steak picture, or me, hitting a I don't know, like a 405 PR out of me or something. I would post those, but other than that, I wouldn't show my training, or I wouldn't just show like the typical day of my training or stuff like that. I just kind of post if it was a PR or if I won. That was pretty much it.
Yeah. What's your Instagram handle so people can go follow you?
Yeah, it's Martha SXOX. People always say, like, pronounce it as Martha Socks, but it's really Martha SXOX.
I'll put the link in the show notes so people can go give you a follow.
All right.
Cool.
All right.
Awesome. This was fun. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I love talking. Yeah.
You're welcome. Yeah, it was cool. We'll have to do another one someday. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Absolute Strength Podcast. I know I had a ton of fun producing it for you. And before you go, if you could just drop me some feedback, I'd love it. I love reading your feedback. So you can go over to iTunes, leave a 5-star rating, write a little review, what you think of the podcast. I absolutely love it. I read every single one. But it's cool if you don't want to do that. I get it. No one wants to really go out of their way to do anything, let alone write a review. But I want to get your feedback. So drop me a line on Instagram at Hunt Fitness, or on Facebook, Kyle Hunt, or on Twitter, or send a pigeon or something. I don't know. I just want to hear your feedback. So if you want to give me some feedback, let me know what you think. Hit me up on Instagram at Hunt Fitness. And before you go, I have one last thing I want to say. I have a program I want you to check out. It's actually called the Absolute Strength Program, and the link is in the show notes. It's a program I designed to help increase my own squat, bench, and deadlift. And I got pretty strong off of it, and I think you're going to like it. It's a great book. Thousands of people have got amazing results from it. It's in the show notes. All right, guys. Until next time, until next episode, peace.